Hello and welcome back to Disco Elysium. So we have found a second, I was gonna say like murder victim. I don't know. Could be, could not be. Anyway, we need to call the station about the dead body and call the Jamrock Public Library for information on the library card. So we could do that. So we're gonna head along here and just basically see if there's anything else that we need to go and have a look at before we do that. The only other bit we need to get to, I guess, is down past the church. We should go and have a look now. We could also call in to the library here, I suppose. You know what? I'm going to call into the library here, just because it's an option. Oh, I can. Oh, interesting. I can only call random numbers from that one. Why? I don't know. That's kind of weird. Anyway, let's head up here. See if there's anything all the way back this way. A rock. Inside the rock, there was money. Well, that's good. I need to pay for the room for tonight, and we need another 12 for that. So, we'll see if we can get there. What have we got here? These rusty gears used to turn the whole machine. The building before you housed the engine. Must have been a big one. The chain trails off into the ocean, to who knows where. This barrel has been recently discarded. It smells of fuel oil. Okay. Door. Unopenable. Okay, interesting. It doesn't say locked, it says unopenable. An old door worn by the elements guards the depot. The wind has blown a sand dune in front of it. The door hasn't been open in a long while. You see a handle. What is this thing anyway? It's a military service depot of some sort. Used to service what? Oh, the washerwoman mentioned a depot up the coast. Lieutenant looks at the The lieutenant looks at the hunching concrete toe in front of him. She said it was for moving ammo and cargo across the bay. This might be it. It may have been used to service an aerostatic battleship in the atmosphere, or a fortification, like a sea fort in the bay. You only get one chance to open the door, and it's impossible. Well, I gotta leave that alone then. What's worrying is you only get one chance. What happens when you fail? That's what I want to know. Ooh, that looks like a normal white shirt. A white polo shirt, plus rhetoric minus empathy. Oh, okay. Let's have a look at that then. This shirt looks worn and smells a bit. You can't help but wonder who would leave it stuffed in a tear container. What kind of man would even wear a polo shirt? This might be one of life's mysteries that will never be solved. Okay. Well, we have a polo shirt now. Anything up here? Because this is like the last bit we can get to, right? Oh no, it keeps going. Cigarette butts cleaned away under a rock. Brand Tio Mutiri. You take a mental note. Tio Mutiri. Seems important somehow. Someone's made a campfire here a long time ago. A rusted broken control box for the radio relay tower. Hey, a scented scarf that gives you shivers and minuses your physical instrument. Okay, tiny inlets there far in the distance where posts trail towards ... Okay. This light springtime scarf smells like men's cologne mixed with cheap laundry detergent. Someone must have left it behind, probably from a date. Wear it if you want to delude yourself that spring has arrived. Okay. And then this. This ladder is too rusty to climb. The sea air is eating away at it. The relay tower coordinates boat traffic in the bay, basically. Okay. So we've been everywhere now. We've actually explored this entire place. And according to our map, there is no more. Which is interesting. So in theory, that means everything else that we need in the entire game is within the areas we have already explored. That's an interesting thought. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. Also, people can come in, as in on different days we get different people coming in, so there's all sorts of stuff. And it's assuming that this is the end of everything, which it might not be. What's this? Oh, just some money on the ground. Well, you know, I'll take it. So there's nowhere else that we need to go. Let's just have a look. So confront the Hardy Boys. Well, you might want to do that earlier. Visit the apartment 28 sometime after 9. We can do that. Suna, we have to figure out why she couldn't hear anything. Well, we're still working on that. Refuse to talk to her about her friends. Sync up with Noids. Promise to help Suna find this. We have found the jacket, actually. That's good. Prove authority. Find heraldic bird. We still haven't found Morel, the cryptozoologist, actually. Interesting. Huh. Okay. Well, maybe that's something to do. Also, buying the trouters from Kuno. There must be more areas, actually, thinking about it, because there's a whole bunch that we haven't done yet. Oh, maybe there's something along here. Oh, there is. There's another area along here. How do we get up there? Is there a way? Oh, that's not anything. Okay. What about over this way? Ooh. Back to the bridge. The water runs from the west. The source is upstream. A broken pipe. Oh, there's a guy there. And his child. Hello there.
And Mikhail, notice the windows, especially with how there are no windows on the south side. This was to deal with.
A blond man stands next to his son, pointing to the weather-worn ruins. He sees you approaching and smiles.
You, officers, come to investigate the historic subtext of West Martinez. I'm Trant Heidelstand. You must be Kim Kitsuragi, right? I was just telling my son about this building. Not a lot of people realize the historic significance here. Very rich in hypertext.
How does he know that that's Kim?
Nice to meet you.
Wait. Okay, so the bottom one's proceed. Hold on, hypertext?
Yes, hypertext. Jan Karp and the collection of cultural hyperlinks.
He's just making up fancy words. This doesn't mean anything. Oh, good to know. Wait, what was that about the windows before?
Oh, yes. So, Mikhail, they had to deal with monitor glare, especially in the summer. They still had vector monitors back then. That was 49 years ago, so they didn't have windows on the south wall.
You and Kim know each other?
No, I can't say that we've met before, but I've heard of Kim, of course. Mikhail,
Of course.
say hi to the officers.
He rests his hand on the boy's shoulder. The child stays hidden behind the hem of his father's coat, clutching to his worm-themed colouring book. How has he heard of Kim?
Mikhail's a little tired today. We spent all night trying to run Orbis on his radio computer. Have you heard of it? It's a programming language used in Grad. Quite tricky, but he wanted to play this Grad-made adventure program. We've been getting really into worms lately.
The man speaks in the artificial cadence of a professor, or someone who's been on too many radio shows.
But I assume you're not here for giant worms, when there are so many real things to see. Just as I was telling Mikhail before, this is where the Coalition landed in '08. We could be standing on what is the most interesting landmark in Revachol West.
He points to the building again. This man is your half-brother, you feel it, but why? Oh, okay, so he's like a policeman? So that's how he's heard of Kim? Maybe he's a lawyer or something like that? Wow, get a load of this guy. He really enjoys his trivia. The Orbis programming language was named after its inventor, Victor Orbis, a cybernetic from Grad. They run Vox in the Occidental countries. What's so fascinating about an empty old building? Aha! But it's not just any empty old building. He raises his hand to his eyes to shield himself from the pattering rain. All four of you turn to admire the mural before you. What not a lot of people know is, this used to be the R&D department of Feld Electrical. And Feld, which now sells ink cartridges, mostly was once a top dog in the turn of the century cybernetics boom. Hold on, what's R&D? Wait, what's an R&D department? Apologies, it's an acronym for research and development. They don't use it anymore. He smiles brightly, laugh lines around his eyes. You're probably more familiar with RTD, Research and Technological Development. Mea culpa. You were not familiar with that one either. This man is a bookhead. I'm going to look at the building. It looks old and weathered, with seagulls picking apart its stone and metal carcass. Bushy undergrowth has taken hold of the collapsed rooftop. Some kind of bird has set up a nest on a broken windowsill. I don't think I've ever heard of this Feld Electrical. Well, that's not surprising. Only a vestigial ink, cartridge and ferrotape manufacturer remains. He adjusts his suit jacket. They started out as a midway electronics outfit in Königstein 2 centuries ago. After an aggressive move to Revachol, Feld became a global player in the emerging personal electronics market of the pre-revolutionary era. Still, Tricentennial was beating them in business machines. He gestures towards the building. But Feld had an ace up their sleeve. Or should I say, they were developing an ace up their sleeve. He grins. I'm mixing my metaphors here. What was that ace? It was here in Martinez, possibly in this very building. They had developed prototypes for a, he pauses for effect, tape computer. A tape computer? An elegant folding mechanism of rollers and ferrotape ribbons, portable enough to be a take-it-home solution, revolutionizing business machines, possibly even bringing them to the average consumer. Which is a feat of engineering even today's giants REM, ICN and ZAM haven't achieved yet. He grins, admiring the sentence he just produced. What happened? Indeed what? The revolution? The boy wipes his nose on his sleeve. He nods. Unfortunately, their moonshot project never made it to the market. Feld's move to Revachol backfired. The revolutionary government liquefied their assets and expropriated those very advanced prototypes, possibly from this very building or one of the adjacent ruins. He pauses, pointing to the other building, then continues. All of this was built by Feld, even the boardwalk. Wild Pines built Martinez proper as a resort for their middle management. Feld built this side of town for R&D. One to the engineers, the company people. Oh, I'm afraid it didn't end well for the boys. He smiles again as if he's somehow personally responsible for this bleak turn of events. But this story is a bit too dark for little Mikhail here. Now, if you were to ask about tape computers... So you're saying that Feld Electrical built this boardwalk? Yes, they even built a pleasure wheel, but that got destroyed in the war. A pleasure wheel? The lieutenant looks wistfully at the horizon as if picturing gondolas rising into the sky. Perhaps reminded of a childhood memory? It's clear he would prefer there were a big wheel lighting up the coast. Yes, to lure in their star engineers. This part of Martinez was nothing but reeds before Feld arrived. They had to make the prospect of living here attractive. It was supposed to become a global center for innovation in cybernetics, but history had other plans. What did the revolutionaries do with those advanced tape computers? They used them for military communications, he says, while his son looks up, idly chewing on the corner of his worm-themed colouring book. But also to write and send out press releases, the most notorious example being Le Décret de Mars. What was that? What's the March Decree? I mean the radio transmission sent out to news agencies and world governments by the newly created Commune of Revachol on the 7th of March in the year 02. A short-lived legislative foundation for a short-lived utopia. It's a beautiful piece of text, actually. A singer-songwriter I know, Charette, called it a love poem to Revachol on her political concept album Bon Baisers de Insulindi. You should read it. Every local library in Revachol stocks a copy of the decree. I tried to get Mikhail to memorize it. He looks at his son, who starts giggling, his face hidden behind the book. Or, well, tried to. Someone was much too interested in worms to be paying any attention. The kid takes a peek at the green and silver worm on the cover of the book, already forgetting about this part of the discussion. So how did those tape computers work? Did they work like radio computers? Actually, no one knows. No one even knows what a computer made entirely of tape would look like. But word has it, they were very elegant, exquisite alien-looking turn-of-the-century hardware. He raises his finger, remembering something. Buckle up. 10 years ago, I did a little freelancing. I guess you could say I was a special consultant for an exhibition at the Wompy Dompy Dom Centre in Vredfort, Orange. It raised the same questions, and we had lengthy discussions with Paul Okerman, who was the head curator at the time. This was before the twins, Keith and Guy Just, joined the team, trying to... Wait, did he just say Wompy Dompy Dom Centre? He did it! He said Wompy Dompy Dom Centre like it's the most natural thing in the world. What the hell is a Wompy Dompy Dom Centre, and who the hell are Keith and Guy Just? Okay, Wompy Dompy Dom Centre, Paul Okerman, Keith and Guy Just, what are you talking about? The Wompy Dompy Dom Centre for Contemporary Arts. There it is again, those words. The exhibition itself drew on Lagerman's notion of memory, and so there were some parallels. That's why the head curator, Paul Okerman, chose to... You're making this up. Kim, is he making this up? In fact, I'm not. The Wompy Dompy Dom Centre, he says casually, is a place where you can visit if you're ever in Vredfort. There and are ever in the market for an exhibition space / contemporary art research centre. He clears his throat. But perhaps I should return to the tape computers. As I was saying, the device itself was very elegant, fragile even. One could write directly on the tape using a special chemical solution. The machine would then analyze the handwriting, perform operations, and project output onto a white screen. It was a beautiful, delicate thing, made of black film and folding tape structures. The RCM should get some of those. Even one would be very useful, he agrees. Though I understand the socio-economic causes of the revolution, it pains me to imagine the revolutionaries setting fire to this precious device. But so they did. The failed playback experiment vanished into the fires of 07. Wait, the failed playback experiment? Yes, the official name of the prototype. Some sources report it as the failed playback experience, but those are incorrect. Why did the revolutionaries destroy it? Who knows? Maybe it was an accident, or maybe they didn't want the technology to end up in the wrong hands. Either way, they're all gone now, all 3 versions of the prototype. Nothing but debris and ashes remain inside that building. He takes a step back, the boardwalk creaks mournfully in the wind. I want to ask something else. But of course, what else? He smiles and ruffles his kid's head. You look like someone who has money. Do you have any money? I do have some money, yes, but that's not what's really important here. He brushes it off like it's not a thing at all. Could I have some of that unimportant money then? Oh no, I don't have it on me, officer. I was talking more in general terms. He looks uncomfortable, his left hand squeezing his son's shoulder. I'm just spending time with my kid here, showing him around the lesser known parts of our hometown. It wouldn't be wise to carry huge amounts of cash on such expeditions. Great, thank you for all the interesting information. No, thanks to you for having me and little Mikhail here to pick your brain. A very interesting conversation, indeed. Alright, that was just straight up odd. Hey, money. Oh yes, the Wompy Dompy Dom Centre. It's Wednesday evening, and something heinously exciting is underway. People have gathered beneath the billowing roof of an oddly shaped trophy building, sipping wine and exchanging opinions. 29-year-old wonder twins Guy and Keith Just are the stars of the show, with their bomber jackets and white sneakers, head curators of this art exhibition. It's the Wompy Dompy Dompiest event of the year, and all the cool kids have RSVP'd. Where are you if you are not here? Okay. Another power box. It charges nothing now. It's empty. Alright, I don't know what I did there. The fence blocks the path. No way on from here. There's some people back there as well. I think that's morale, would be my guess. Ooh. Let's try this again. Bars cover these long, dusty windows. The remaining windows rattle from the strong gust of wind. They're covered in a thick layer of grime. They must have been like this for 40 years. Lieutenant, can you make out what's inside? No. He shakes his head. The windows rattle in their frames. I won't even try, you know. He takes his glasses off. I had a partner once. They called him Eyes because he had to show me things. It's that bad. This partner of his, Eyes, things didn't end well. It saddens him to say his name. Don't even ask. He wouldn't answer. Maybe some other small talk? Can you still shoot, though? Well enough, actually. It's odd how that works. I'm no sharpshooter, but I pass my shooting courses 7 out of 10. Okay, cool. And this then leads back round to the same bit. Okay. Neat. We can stay here a little bit longer. It's like, yeah, it's not even 11 yet. We do need to go back to town, though, at some point. That's definitely Morel. 100%. What's this? No boat in the boathouse today. The section of the coast hasn't been used in decades. The boathouse is shoddily constructed. A strong breeze might blow it over. Hey, more money. Nice. Hey, it's a wall. You can look at the whole thing. Ancient paint is peeling off the roof of the shaded beach covered in rust. There's stuff over here as well. The sign says, Entree, Interrogate. Okay. We'll have that. Hey, more tar. More money. All about that. I'm going to go back to the wall. Don't you worry. I remember it exists. Flan, people. Plus logic, minus perception. What is that? The small wireframing inside this futuristic flan people hat gives it the aerodynamic shape of swoop skier's helmet, but none of its protective qualities. Covers the wearer's eyes and eyebrows to bring down the drag coefficient. So what's our current hat give us? Reaction speed minus rhetoric. This one lowers our perception, gives us logic. Oh, that is a little bit cooler. Yeah, so our logic's now at a 6 as well. Our intellect stuff are they're getting out of hand. The door is not only barred shut, it is inaccessible. Okay. A scattering of bullet holes are spread across the cracked wall, reaching from one corner to the other. Oh wow, we've got everything for this. Kim, look Kim, even more bullet holes. Something's definitely gone down here. Correct. The lieutenant examines the wall closely. The density of the bullet holes is unusual, even in general. Average bullet hole frequency in Martinez sense. Grim affairs. Meaning this is a lot of bullet holes. He brushes the wall with his hand. Looks like fully automatic rifle fire, something you don't see these days. Why not? The manufacturing and sale of automatic rifles was curtailed after the revolution. The destructive power of such tools proved to be too much. We do need to retain some humanity in this world. Okay, cool. Why this many bullet holes? A row of ghostly shades standing in front of the wall. There are many of them, a dozen at least, their heads lowered and eyes blindfolded. It's quiet, no sound, no movement. Oh, it was an execution. 10 meters away, the other shades are lined up in an orderly manner, automatic rifles primed. A gust of wind blows by. The coats of the firing squad flap slowly in the breeze. A single person stands on the side. The morning sun rises beyond the horizon, radiating the first light of the day. The order was carried out at dawn. A long time has passed since the moment of this fusillading. Rain and brine have since washed all the blood away, not a trace remains. What is this? The abundance of bullet holes leads to two options. Either an inordinate amount of executions were performed here, or they did not use a conscience round, where only one soldier has the loaded rifle. Looks like there was a mass execution with everyone fully armed. Let's look at the people against the wall. A host of men in probably everyday clothes, ragged from the conflict and covered in dust. They were not sitting, a common practice for executions in some nations, as demonstrated by the height level of the bullet holes. They stand facing the wall. It's impossible to discern any details about their personality or background. Ordinary people, familiar, each and every one of them. Who were they? Comrades, the forsaken, the wretched, who tried to rise against the horrors of the world. Look at the line of soldiers. 7 men in combat uniforms and dark coats, holding automatic rifles aimed at the people. Soldiers from some side, but from which one? Look at the person standing at the side. The commandant, the one who gives the order. Machine gun fire crackling through the air. The light of the muzzle flashes, dancing on his face. Kim, who was who in this execution? At first, Lieutenant doesn't say a word. He just stares at the wall. I don't know, he says finally. I don't know who died here, lined up beside that horrible wall. It could have been any of the parties involved in the revolution. Perhaps the ones executed here were the loyalist conservatives, killed by the communists at the start of the Civil War. Or it could have been the communists put to death during the last stretch of the conflict by the coalition forces. Remember what Trant Hedelstam said about Feld? What was it? What if it was the Feld personnel when their assets were being seized by the revolutionaries? Well, that would imply, looking at this guy, that could be the person we met playing bowls, because he's kind of dressed very similarly. Just a thought. But what if it was the Feld personnel? Lieutenant nods. Another likely scenario. Or maybe, what about the people from the coalition, the so-called moralists? Yeah, it's very unlikely the coalition forces were the ones who died here. They were always the last ones against the wall. To be honest, if a coalition member were anyone in this situation, it was the commandant, the superior, giving the orders. Alright, goodbye. A cold sea wind blows away the figures. Alright. Here. An old ticket taker booth, no longer in operation. People paid money to park here? No one would pay now. Oh, I thought that was I thought there was something to do with the boardwalk there, but no, nothing. Can I not go any further? Oh, there's definitely more there. I guess maybe you have to get that open somehow? I don't know. Oh, the boathouse. We can loot it. Missed that. So +3 morale. Wonderful. And then these glasses that give us minus visual calculus? Nah, but they give us plus savoir faire. Which is quite nice. I have 9+ morale charges. Well, that's what I like to see. Must be keeping morale high. Hey, more real. Oh, I thought that was a bottle I could pick up. Hey, morale, what's up? Tiny cages carefully constructed. These soggy logs smell of ignition fluid. Still, they won't light up. It's almost impossible to get a fire going near the ocean. Hey, we'll get that. These military blockades are riddled with bullet holes, crumbling. Oh, I also need to look at that wall, apparently. I completely missed that. Okay. That patch of reeds over there, it's a great place to hide something, kind of out of the way, being so close to the water. Wait, I can't see anything interesting. You don't have a reason to, yet. What's this about? Nothing, just a hunch. The hunch passes, leaving you there by the old boy bobbing in the water. Time to go. A boy bobs in the water. The number on it says 11. So that's saying that something might be here later? It's interesting. Okay. Hey, Morel.
Here we go. Nice and easy. No way out, little guys. Not out of this jam.
There's a cylinder on the ground in which the man is arranging some netting. It looks like some kind of trap. He notices you.
Who's there? Oh, the police. Hello, officer.
Is that the police? Why's the police here?
Don't worry, Gary. I'll handle it.
You must be Morel, the cryptozoologist.
To what do I owe the pleasure?
That's sarcasm. He takes no pleasure from your appearance. Well, Lena sent me. She's been really worried about you and is waiting for you to get back.
Ah, of course. Thank you for passing along the message. That damned waterlock is broken, and we can't go all the way around the 881.
The waterlock... You know what? I'm going to withhold the whole story. The waterlock's been fixed. It was fine when I crossed it.
Oh, good. We should really be getting back. Gaddy could use a hot shower and a warm bed.
Did he say we can go back now?
Yes, Gaddy, we can go soon. If you see Lena, tell her I won't be long.
Does that say crypto-fascist? I think it does.
Sir, your wife is waiting for you.
I just have to do one more round. See if the phasmid has taken the bait. Then we're going.
He refastens a bit of netting that has come loose in the wind. His hands are large, weather-worn, but also used to delicate, precise work. Tell me about this phasmid you're looking for. Well, first of all, it's damn difficult to find, which is why we've been knee-deep in the reeds laying traps for it. What makes it so difficult to find? Good question. Being a phasmid of the order Phantasmodia, a ghost insect, it disguises itself as plant matter. In this case, the reeds. He looks around. Awful lot of reeds around, aren't there? And I suspect it may also have developed other specialized techniques to protect itself from predators or scientists in our present case. What sort of specialized techniques is the phasmid using to hide itself? Oh, it's my hypothesis that it evolves certain electrochemical defenses that allow it to interfere with animal perception, impeding pattern recognition, confusing the visual cortex. But I cannot describe how these defenses work, much less how they evolved, without studying a live specimen. Yes, it makes perfect sense. You're beginning to suspect there's something paranatural about this phasmid. How big is this phasmid? Oh, I'm expecting it to be quite giant. One known species of phasmid, called the Megaphasmodia zooanius, is about the size of a grown man's forearm, so he leaves the conclusion up to you. Why are you so interested in the stick bug? It doesn't seem to be as colourful as some of the other cryptids I've heard about. He flashes you a sideways smile. Typical rookie assumption. Insects are much more sophisticated creatures than those unversed in zoology give them credit for. Even simply catching a glimpse of the insulindian phasmid would be the apex of any cryptozoologist's career, but to study it and its defenses, to find out how it stayed hidden for so long, he shakes his head. What have you discovered about it so far? Oh, very little, I'm sorry to say. No one's ever captured a specimen, so all our information is based on first and third-hand accounts. So no one's ever found one? Not yet. He holds up an index finger. That's what makes it a cryptid. Lieutenant interjects, just out of curiosity, if there is no proof of its existence, how do you know it's real? I know it's real, the cryptozoologist says, brusquely enough that even he seems taken aback by it. It's clear that his obsession with the phasmid is driven by something more than the pure pursuit of scientific advancement. By which I mean, he says, gathering himself, I've heard quite enough first-hand accounts to believe quite firmly that insulindian phasmid is more than mere superstition. Lena said that there's been a sighting of it here in Martinez. Yes, the most recent sighting was by a couple of teenagers along the coast here. That's what brought us to Martinez specifically. It's the first credible sighting in several decades. Admittedly, it's an unusual location for this species, but with all the sewage runoff upstream, it probably doesn't matter much anymore. Maybe the insulindian phasmid has died out. The cryptozoologist shakes his head vigorously. I have to resist that thought. Such an extraordinary creature is doubtlessly highly resilient. After all, it's generally thought to be capable of parthenogenesis. He means asexual reproduction. The females of the species don't need to mate to produce viable eggs. This makes it easier for a species with a small population to survive. This arouses no special feelings in me. And it shouldn't. Nature does not concern herself with ethical propositions. As a scientist, my interest is strictly dispassionate. Tell me more about these traps. Well, he points to the cage of mesh and wiring on the ground. They may not look impressive, but Lena designed them quite cleverly, and I'm sure they'll do the trick. Lena designed the traps? Yes, he says with some pride. How do the traps work? Oh, simple. Attracted by the locust, the phasmid crawls down the funnel and having eaten its fill can't get back out. At least that's the intention. The net isn't a perfect solution, but we didn't want to use anything that might damage the specimen's delicate exoskeleton. What are you using as bait? Locusts. He gestures towards the trap. Nearly all known phasmids are herbivores, of course, but we've hypothesized that the insulindian phasmid might occasionally prey on other insects. Inside the traps, a number of locusts crawl and tumble over one another in a tiny, chittering swarm. A meat-eating stick insect. Does it pretend to be the reeds as part of its ambush behavior? This seems unlikely. A carnivorous stick insect? Seems unlikely. Thank you for your opinion. We've also included plant material in the traps to satiate your skepticism. What will you do if these traps don't work? Oh, they'll work, I assure you. The predatory hypothesis using locusts as bait accounts for the failure of the previous efforts by other teams which use plants. We have given this some thought. The traps do seem to be deftly and thoughtfully constructed. It's clear that the cryptozoologist's wife knows what she's doing. Let me ask you about something else. How did you become a cryptozoologist? I've just always liked animals and puzzles. Searching for cryptids is a bit of both. Why not be a zoologist? Real animals are puzzling too. Real? He scoffs at the concept. I know you think one is a respectable profession while the other is superstition. Everyone does. Well, honestly, being a cryptozoologist trumps up most of the garbage I've seen people do. A hum and a nod. My methods do not differ from other scientists. I simply draw upon a wider variety of evidence, and I have more hope that something truly surprising might happen. Has anything truly surprising ever happened to you? I've yet to catch a cryptid, if that's what you're getting at, but I have come close. Interesting. Something for later, this close call. So you're living your childhood dream out here. His eyes narrow. It's not child's play just because I have to trapeze through the mud every so often. What kinds of evidence do you use? Everything from forgotten regional lore to newspaper accounts like the one that has brought us here to look for the phasmid. I keep a very open mind. He's interested in things that people believe that other scientists don't. You think other scientists don't listen to ordinary people enough? Most establishment scientists only care about reputation and remuneration, not real research, and certainly not the truth. They're a cowardly lot, and both the field and basement archives can be dangerous places. So you've never discovered a cryptid? No, very few cryptids are ever discovered, and not for a lack of trying. To stay hidden is a cryptid's primary quality. It's even in the name, cryptid. So many cryptids have you found? Of the list of cryptids kept by the Cryptozoology Society of Chemney, which is 4,082 items long, about 2,000 have been confirmed as hoaxes. 2 are categorized as confirmed discoveries. The rest are in differing stages of discovery, refutation, and data collection. Only 2 have been proven real? Yes, the Xiao Tao Quan forest pygmy who turned out to be an extinct species of primate, and a cave salamander from Yugograd, who is honestly quite unremarkable. It's in a zoo somewhere. We cryptozoologists are brutally honest with ourselves, more so even than the public. Most cryptids are hoaxes, or they are never found. That does not mean we should stop searching. Well, then the insulindian phasmid will be the 3rd. Indeed. He does not smile, he just looks you in the eye. It's a forceful gaze. If our expedition is successful, every paper in the world will report on it, from the Revachol to Dao Shantou. It shall be a zoological miracle. He has clearly done his math on this. There is no surprising him or swaying his opinion. Thanks for explaining that. Now, about something else. Lena seems pretty eager for your return. And I'm eager to return to her, I assure you, but I can't leave before we finish with these traps. He looks south where Lena would be. My wife understands that as well as anyone. Come on, Morel. We've been soaking out here for days. It's time to go back. I'll leave the traps. Absolutely not, he yells in response. I won't let Lena down. Come on, she wants us back. I'm soaked up to my nuts over here. We'll both catch reed crabs if we don't dry out soon. Won't let Lena down? Sounds like the cryptozoologist's wife shares a special connection to the phasmid somehow. I didn't know the phasmid was so important to Lena. Of course it's important to her. She's seen it. A verified sighting on record. One of only 4 in this century, and it's hers. Really? She sighted the phasmid? She didn't tell me that. Yes, that's how we first came to know each other, in fact. But that's her story to tell, not mine. He coughs, then continues. Needless to say, you must ask her about the mysterious phasmidoid. Suffice to say, it's long been our dream to find proof of the Insulindian phasmid together. I can't abandon this course now. Another cough, into his fist this time. Maybe you could come back to the whirling, warm up, come back to check the traps later? No. The traps need to be monitored on a regular schedule. What would we do if the phasmid were to starve while we were sipping tea at the hostel? I could go for some trap setting. What if we check the traps for you? He looks at you with obvious surprise. I wouldn't expect you to take such an interest in our work here, officer. Cryptozoology and detective work are very similar. Yes, indeed. Both require a great deal of research, attention to detail, and above all, persistence. What do I do if there's a phasmid in one of the traps? Bring it to me at once. Just make sure the trap is closed tight. He's not comfortable with the possibility that you'll claim the find, but he's lying about this even to himself. What if I encounter the phasmid in the wild? That's highly unlikely, officer. But in the event you do, he takes out a small white spray can. I'll spray you with a pheromone mixture I developed. Made of musk and research chemicals, the pheromones should attract the insect to you, or at least prevent it from bolting at the sight of you. It's quite potent. It will last you about a week. Lay it on me. Thick. He douses you with the odd-smelling spray, a double helping as you present your other pit, then gives you a satisfied nod. Lieutenant wrinkles his nose. I hope you're not buying this. He dispenses it without letting you touch the canister, so it'd be precious like holy water. It is precious. A single dose cost me 50 real to develop. Not that I expect you to understand self-financing one's own research. He looks at the lieutenant with disdain, then puts the spray back in his pocket. Where are these traps? There are 4 in total. One is to the south, on this little peninsula by the boathouses there. He points south. It's very near. Another we set at Land's End, to the northeast. It's behind a small sand dune there on your way to the old radio tower after the church. Third is near the canal, where you crossed, by the concrete slab. Big thicket of reeds going up the slope, and among them. He gestures to the trap in front of him. You should check at least one of those before returning to this one, since I just set it. This one's more of a technicality, but still, better safe and stupid than sorry. This seems like a lot of work. Do we really have time for this extracurricular venture? What, aren't you having fun? Even relative to examining a week-old corpse, I'm not sure mucking about in the reeds qualifies as fun, but have it your way, detective. You think it's important? If you think it's important, you have been right before. Alright, I'm ready, let's get to it. Right, which means you two can back up and go back to the whirling. Whatever he thinks about this detour, it's clear that these men are exhausted and in need of assistance. Finally, someone's talking sense. Thank you for your help. Gary and I will start breaking down camp. If you have any more questions, now is the time to ask. We'll be gone once you get to it. If it's more cryptid-related business you want to discuss, you'll have time for that later. But what if the information is vital on the hunt? Let's talk about specific cryptids. He eyes you skeptically. Alright, what cryptids precisely? I don't usually discuss these things with specialists, so I don't know what we would have to discuss, he wants to say, but decides against it since you've offered to help. You need to ask about specific cryptids you've heard about from Lena or his friend Gary. He won't just talk. I know all about the kind green ape. Look, I even have a kind green ape pen. I see you've been talking about cryptids with Lena. He smiles. The kind green ape is one of her favorites. A warm wave passes him. Of course the kind green ape is her favorite, he thinks. We travelled to Tian'an to look for it once. Gary and I got stuck in a rainstorm though, and had to spend most of our time here in a little village. The search was fabulously unsuccessful, but the people were very nice. I'm glad they didn't understand what Gary was saying about them. What, Tien? It's on a different rung of the ladder, Morale. I had no problem with them. Really? You kept complaining about how dirty everything is, but we digress. They're a nascent culture. Just didn't feel comfortable, and let's change the subject, okay? Talk about your critters or whatever. He mumbles something. Which cryptid did you almost catch? You said before that you almost caught one. A willow person. It's a long story one non-specialist would find rather dull. Willow people? Not at all. What are willow people? They're not people, really. Some argue they're not even animals, as they seem to have evolved directly from trees. He says it in a self-explanatory, everyday manner. They're very, very thin, almost flat. In fact, they can camouflage themselves easily, wrapping themselves around trees and blending in with tree bark. In that way, they're not too dissimilar from the phasmid we're looking for now. Wait, so I may have seen these willow people without knowing it? You probably have. How did you almost catch one then? Oh, Gary and I painted an entire grove's worth of trees in slow drying paint. It was bright lavender colour. I was hoping that one of the willow people would get paint on it and not be able to camouflage itself. After waiting and hiding for hours, I saw a figure slip from one of the trees. A lavender shadow dashing through the grove. And then? I chased it with a net. Not very elegant, but you can't be elegant in the field, and well, it was faster than me. A lavender shadow, he smirks. I know you think we were snacking on funny mushrooms. It's easier to mock someone than to admit the world might be more interesting than you've imagined. Furthermore, he raises his finger. I'm not saying it was a confirmed sight, and I'm saying I'm painfully aware of what goes into verifying such things. There is a serious possibility I saw a squirrel or a trick of the light. I am my own harshest critic. Makes it a real point here to sound falsifiable? Okay. Falsifiable? Anyway, and Lena's sighting of the phasmid, is that... Confirmed, he replies quickly. Is 100% verified, meets all the standards of an authentic cryptid sighting. Must know about the most dangerous cryptid, the gnome of Jeroma. Formerly the most dangerous, yes. What do you know about the most dangerous living cryptid? Do you know about the most dangerous living cryptid? I can try to guess. Believe me, you won't guess it. You either know or you don't. He cracks his hat and says, as if it's the most sensible thing in the world. The most dangerous cryptid is the carnivorous ruminant known colloquially as the dread moose. The dread moose? Yes, the dread moose subsists entirely on flesh. Is he been known to dig up fresh graves in search of sustenance? Hold on, does it also attack people? Human remains have been found deep in the forest, torn apart and then trampled into the mulch by large hooves. Infer from that what you will. Okay, what does a dread moose look like? Just like an ordinary Arden moose. Now can you tell if it's ordinary or the dread kind? You can't, that's what makes it so dreadful and so hard to identify. A moose that looks like any other moose? What's going on here? He's kidding, right? I am 100% behind the dread moose. I utterly believe it exists. Of course you do. The bodies found in the forest are just one piece of physical evidence. There's more. Sightings in Vasa reaching back 4 centuries, but of course nothing satiates the skepticism of a detective. He finishes his sentence for him, then his tone turns surprisingly mild. Pardon me, I did not wish to see conflict. It's simply my training to question things. Understood, Lieutenant. The man tips his hat slightly, then looks at you. I want to know about the biggest cryptid. Or I know the biggest cryptid, the giant of Kokonur. That's impressive, I guess. He does not seem impressed. But have you seen it with your own eyes? Have you seen it? I haven't had a chance to travel to Kokonora, no. And I likely ever will. The Samarskilt desert region has been embroiled in a small civil war for the last 8 years. I fear this mindless barbarism may have wiped out the elusive creature entirely. Sightings of towering luminosities have grown more rare recently, while they once used to be constant. Yes, sightings of mirages are constant. A mirage is a constant phenomenon that people have no time to report on when a war is going on. It remains unclear what this has got to do with you seeing it, as he was inquiring before. He was just being defensive. I know about the Cryobacter catalanus. Oh, everyone knows about that one, thanks to Professor Maijano being the talk of the town for a time. He coughs into his fist. Although probably because his life ended as a result of his work in Katla. No one remembers his contributions to the search for Neon Auk. The Neon Auk? A flightless cursor owl found in the Seminine Isles. His long legs permit the Neon Auk to run faster than any other avian, perhaps even any other animal, who knows. When it is not hunting its prey in this manner, the Auk hangs from tree branches like a bat, waiting to dive on hapless prey below on the jungle floor. Mai Jano liked extreme animals, you see. One of the few figures of academic establishment I respect. Really a shame she disappeared. When did she disappear? Oh, decades ago, in the 30s. I don't know about her personally, of course. A chasm of academic pretension still stood before us, even though she had the unusual courage for someone from the other side. Tell me about a cool cryptid, any cryptid. No offense, officer, but I'm not much of a pedagogue. I don't know what I would have done if Lena had persuaded me to go back to field research. You should ask her if you want interesting stories. Me, I'm not a people's person, unless you haven't noticed. And I don't make a good lecturer. My strength lies in fieldwork and persistence. He brushes an errant strand of hair from his eye. Enough tales then, let's change the subject. I'll get going. We gotta speak to Gary. Hey Gary, what's up?
Hello, I'm Gary. Very generous of you to help us out, officer. Yellow man. I mean, officer.
Ooh. Lieutenant raises his eyebrows slightly and takes out his notebook. Yellow man. Interesting, this is something to ask him about, after a little probing first.
I'm just waiting for my friend Morel to finish up with his insect traps, so we can return to civilization.
Not a lover of the great outdoors?
I like nature, just not this bloody coast. It's mostly drunks and degenerates that come here.
Degenerates? This man respects authority too much to see the truth inscribed upon thine own visage. Pretend thou art a paragon of virtue. Well, nobody's perfect. I'm sure you've been tempted to drink.
Oh, I've been tempted, but someone has to stay strong for Rivercall.
His gaze shifts to the pile of soggy logs at his feet. He pronounces Revachol with a hard K, unlike other people. You said Revachol? I like to pronounce it the hard way, the old way, the Vespadine way. He nods solemnly. He winks at you, trying to relay some hidden message, inviting you to mispronounce it too, perhaps? It's odd. It's a secret rite, a very fragile, nationalistic handshake, probably. Do you know anything about the man hanged behind the whirling in rags? Oh, so that's what the RCM is in Martinez about. Great. He nods in sincere approval. Great to hear someone's finally taking care of that. So you do know something about it? No. He shakes his head emphatically, then corrects his tie. Nothing. He was kind of a mercenary, but everyone here knows that. I'm just glad to hear you're looking into it, that's all. You didn't kill him or anything, but there's something going on here. Is this your mug? My mug? Why would you think that? You said yellow man? That's not something many people would go around saying. Riley, I hear it all the time. All in jest, of course. No offense meant to anyone. Still seems suspicious. Did I mention the mug was found at the scene of a lynching? Oh, okay, I admit it. I threw the mug away in the trash container by an hostel. I know I shouldn't have. I'm very sorry, officer. He pauses. You're not gonna fine me, are you? 250 real, the maximum. Oh god, 250. How am I gonna pay that? He looks at a slip of yellow copy paper, then holds it and gets a hold of himself. Okay, I'll work harder. I'll pay it off, I promise. This is a considerable expense to him. 1 month's wage, most likely. And I'll never do it again. I don't know what got into me. Really, work has been stressful lately. Damn, Co's price dumping us out of the competition.
What did you do, Gary?
Nothing. I was just answering some questions, helping out the law. Gary, did you put the clothes of a murder victim, the man who was hanged behind the whirling rags, into that trash container? Officer, please. He raises both hands. Let me explain, it's not like that. Do. I was only cleaning up. I live right across the yard from where he was hanged, and I saw him stripped naked, all the clothes lying in the yard smelling. People are animals, you know. Yes, what happened? Well, then I came out to clean the rags, because no one else would. I put them in the whirling's trash along with a broken mug, admittedly. He changes his mind mid-sentence. Okay, I was coming out to throw the mug away, and well, I threw the mug in there and the clothes too. Right, it was civic duty, Lieutenant remarks drolly. Exactly, that's exactly what it was, civic duty. As he shifts uncomfortably, a series of clicks, like the clinking of glass beads against one another as they roll across a hardwood floor. You've heard this sound before, but where? Interesting. Okay. So, the mug was actually related to this whole thing? I am shocked. What was that strange sound? What sound? That clinking. I just heard it when you moved. Really? He fans his arms out slowly, and this time his motions are soundless. There's a lot of weird stuff out here in the reeds. Insects, trash, could be the wind shifting some garbage nearby. He has the armor. How did you get into the trash container? I know a guy who works with trash collection services. CS Municipal. He gives me a master key for the trash containers in Martinez. Why would you need to get into everyone's trash? Oh, so I can use the Whirling's trash compactor to store my own stuff, he says, bowing shamefully like a fallen knight. Garbage disposal is expensive as hell, and the damned Himians run it like the mob. I'm sorry, okay? I thought I could cut costs. I shouldn't have. I shouldn't have disgraced myself. Disgraced. Lieutenant raises his eyebrows and looks up. No need for the histotronic, sir. It was, after all, just a trash container. He studies his reaction. Gary doesn't answer. You wouldn't happen to know anything about the victim's missing armor, would you? Armor? No. He changes his mind. Well, of course I knew he was wearing armor. I don't know anything about it. An infant could see he's not telling the truth, but he's too scared to admit any more wrongdoing. Alright, let's move on for now. Ooh. Okay. Are you a cryptozoologist too? No. I help Morel with research sometimes, and I've learned some things along the way. I usually don't go in for picnics like this on my own. You're surprised to see my colleague, Kit Suragi. Not many Seolites here, or anywhere other than Seol. I meant no offense, truly. Do you remember when we met Measurehead and I said the next racist will be the really good one? Yes. Well, he gestures towards Gary as though he were presenting a work of art. This is that racist. Are you, Gary? Are you a racist? Amen. He blushes. All I meant is that there are not many Seolites around here. It's just stating a fact. The lieutenant is a native of Revachol. Oh, yes, of course he is. I was just speaking about his connections. He flashes an impenetrable smile. Let's change the subject, okay? Okay, be back in a second. I want to see if we have anything that raises our composure before I do this. Nothing so far. Conceptualization, pain threshold. Composure. So I'm losing perception for that. Okay. That's fine. They are horrible shoes. Oh, composure? Minus. Okay. Well, we might as well try it now. This will give us like 40%.
Always a pleasure to see an officer of the law. I mean, officers.
42%. 3, 2, 1, go. Oh! Is he? He's just looking comfortable enough. Maybe it was just the beads. Sounded like beads. But what kind of beads might a man like Gary be hiding behind his clothes? Are you currently sporting some anal beads? Lieutenant leans in confidently. You wouldn't be able to hear it if he were wearing anal beads, he whispers. Please excuse my colleague's humor. Working this murder case has taken quite a toll on us both. You don't quite have to answer that yet. What he means is, working on the case is taking a toll on you. Working with you is taking a toll on him. Oh, of course. He forces a grin, no doubt hiding some colossal anal beads up his butt as he does so. Wonderful. Right, so I'm going to put those on. Now, we have 2 questions here. Now, I believe we failed a check somewhere. We failed a check in the church, didn't we? Or did we not? I thought we failed a check in the church. Yes, we failed our perception check in the church. So, if I want to get that, I need to put a point in perception. But I could also put a point in composure right now. And try that again. That only gives me like a... Was it a 50 or is it a 60 chance? I think we'd put another point in perception, probably. Okay. In which case, I am going to end the episode here. And next time, we're going to have to go check these traps for these cryptozoologists. So, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Goodbye.